The Great Gatsby, a classic tale by F. Scott Fitzgerald, set in the 1920s. It is the story of Jay Gatsby, a man living the classic roaring 20s life of extreme wealth and luxury. The story explores Jay Gatsby's immense love for Daisy Buchanan, a beautiful girl from a very wealthy family. It is told in the perspective of Nick Carraway, a much more simple man who has just made the move to New York City. The novel The Great Gatsby has a lot to do with the idea of utopia, because the characters, as well as the setting, each have a dream that they believe could give them the perfect reality. Through the personal utopias of Jay and Nick, and the ideology of the setting of America in the 1920s, the novel expresses that utopia is always temporary due to expectations of utopia overpowering reality and never leading to satisfaction. In The Great Gatsby, Jay Gatsby believes that in order to accomplish utopia, he must win back Daisy by becoming wealthy and having status, so he'll be a worthy match for her and be able to live utopia. Gatsby centers his entire life on trying to have Daisy fall in love with him again. He will go to such extreme extents as to doing illegal work to attain the money that he believes will get him closer to Daisy and closer to utopia.
Strange coincidence. What if? In fact, the Gatsby's house just across the bay.
When you and I were forever wild, the crazy days, city lights, the way you play with me like a child. Will you still love me?
Even when Gatsby is able to have a relationship with Daisy again, it cannot satisfy the expectations he had once dreamed of, and his utopia becomes temporary. Daisy still loved her husband as well as Gatsby, and her love could never be solely focused on him. He had set his expectations much too high for reality, and his utopia became extremely temporary.
Daisy, I love you.
Please don't. You want too much. I love you now. Isn't that enough? I can't help what's past. I did love him once, but I loved you too.
Love me too.
The idea of utopia's frailty continues in The Great Gatsby through Nick's move to New York. Nick, similar to Gatsby, can never accomplish permanent utopia. He believes utopia to be in a better life with more money and opportunity found in New York City. He is quickly disappointed when his utopia fails in reality. Nick believes that by moving to New York, he will be able to accomplish his utopia, one full of money and opportunity. Just as Truby says, this is precisely Nick's movement. He starts in the Midwest, solid, nothing fake, and goes east, not to make things but to sell bonds, to make a lot of money off of money. Nick goes to make it rich in the great American city of business. Nick, although he is able to accomplish utopia in New York City through financial stability found in the bond business, it is only lasts for a mere period of time before coming short of his expectations. He realizes the falsity in the people of New York, something he cannot forgive, and rids himself of utopia. Once he finds the superficiality of New York, he is disappointed in his utopia and eventually leaves it. The Great Gatsby is also able to deal with utopia through the setting, because the setting itself is a utopia that cannot satisfy its expectations. The Great Gatsby takes a larger focus on utopia through showing the demise of the American dream in the 1920s due to the growing importance of materialism. Just as Bloom says, Fitzgerald kicks the tragedy up one level when he talks of the lost promise of the country itself. The spiritual ideal that we started with 100 years ago has been corrupted to nothing but material cravings. The Great Gatsby shows the end of the American utopia, not just through context of the novel, but also through the content. Nick is able to realize the fault in his country and its unreal expectations. The frailty of utopia through the corruption of America throughout the novel becomes, because of its focus on materialism, shows the end of the original American dream because its expectations were too high for reality. Nick reflects, The new world's vanished trees, the trees that had made way for Gatsby's house, had once pandered in whispers to the last and the greatest of all human dreams. For a transitory, enchanted moment, man must have held his breath in the presence of this continent. Compelled into the aesthetic contemplation he neither understood nor desired. Face to face, for the last time in history, with something to his capacity of desire. Just like Nick is saying, America in the 1920s as the setting of The Great Gatsby represents utopia in itself. America was intended to be the land of promise. But with the rise of materialism and the focus on financial gain, the expectations of utopia couldn't last in reality, showing utopia as momentary. In The Great Gatsby, despite much effort of the characters and their country, utopia can only ever be temporary due to expectations being unrealistic, causing a lack of satisfaction. This novel perfectly portrays utopia as momentary and expresses it in the most beautiful way possible.